I was a warrior. I fought many great battles for the glory of our nation. I was a hero. I later learned that my victories were unwelcome. His betrayal was driven by petty jealousy. He knew I could endure anything. Punishment is one thing. This is cruelty. Who could be so evil as to desire another soul to endure such suffering? Who amongst us could be so dishonorable? Are you so blinded by your own loyalty? The orders came from the Emperor himself. This realm may have been corrupted and consumed by evil, but we possess the power to change things.
Alright, before I get into this video, I just want to say that an insane amount of research has gone into this video, and I'm going to be largely basing my channel off the storyline from now on. That is my plan over the summer, and this is just a showcase of one of my best videos that I have ever made. I explain the storyline of the spiders and how it takes a very, very dark route, as you can see by the title. I explain how the spiders storyline ties into the creation of the thrashers, as well as the spores and hallucinations on Zetsubou No Shima, as well as how these spiders tie into the storyline of the denizens within transit, obviously created by Broken Arrow. And this video also explains how these spiders make their way to Revelations, because they come in through portals, and this video explains how everything links together. I am honestly so shocked by Treyarch, because I went into this researching the spiders and I've come out with everything linking together somehow, just from the spiders. It makes no sense. And I know this video is very, very long, but this is an amazing video in my own personal opinion, and hopefully you do enjoy it, because I put so much effort into this. And as he said, I'm going to be doing a lot more storyline videos, so hopefully you enjoy this one, because there's lots more to come. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video.
None of us choose the means by which mercy will find us.
We'll never surrender.
Skin boots on a Saturday night.
Hello guys, this is the Gaming Revolution here, and welcome back to an all-new Black Ops 3 Zombies video. Today we're going to be taking a dark, convoluted route into the deep storyline behind the spiders on Zetsubou No Shima. They have a much darker storyline than anyone could have ever imagined, and barely any people know about this. Now, I did make this video on the past when Zetsubou No Shima was newly released, but I've decided to redo this video because such a limited amount of people know about this information, and obviously I've also gained a lot of subscribers since Zetsubou No Shima's released, so I think a lot of my new audience need to hear this information. If you aren't aware, I do plan on making a lot more storyline videos on my channel and making it a lot more storyline focused. That's going to be the direction that I'm going to be taking over the next few months or so. But if you do go on to enjoy this video by the end of it, make sure to drop a like down below. Let's try and go for 1,115 likes on today's video as well. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future upload here on the channel, and don't forget to turn notifications on to ensure furthermore that you never miss an upload. But with that all out of the way, let's get straight on into the video. So back at the time when I made the storyline behind the spiders on Zetsubou No Shima originally last spring, I did a ton of in-depth research into the Cthulhu mythos. If you're unaware, Shadows of Evil is largely based off of the Cthulhu mythos, and I've done storyline videos in the past on the meatballs as well as the parasites on Shadows of Evil and talked about their storyline on Shadows of Evil, but Zetsubou No Shima is also based off of the Cthulhu mythos, as it largely links into Ponape, as obviously it's set on the Pompeii Islands, and it links into the ruins of Nar Madel, and obviously the entire storyline behind the skull of Nar Sapwa with the Keepers is largely based off of the Cthulhu mythos as well. And we also have the distant monster Easter egg on Zetsubou No Shima, which is again based off of the Cthulhu mythos mythos, which I've already made a storyline video on in the past. So as I said, I've done a ton of research into the Cthulhu mythos in the past, and I found a ton of links between the storyline and backstory of the parasites and meatballs to the main overall storyline of Shadows of Evil. However, contrastingly with the spiders and Zetsubou No Shima, the storyline is more of a basis rather than a direct influence on Zetsubou No Shima's storyline, if that makes any sense. Now, I did have to do an incredible array of research to find out a lot of this information, because a lot of the Cthulhu mythos websites are very, very weird. There's a lot of broken links and stuff like that. However, it wasn't that hard to find out the storyline behind the spiders on Zetsubou No Shima, so I researched all the different spider species within the Cthulhu mythos, and there weren't actually that many, so it was pretty easy for me to pinpoint the fact that the spiders in Zetsubou No Shima are indeed based off of the Leng spider within the Cthulhu mythos. Now, I can tell this because of two different reasons. Firstly, just visually, the spiders look very, very alike visually. I even managed to find an image of one of the mother spiders, and as you can see from this image, it looks very, very similar to the massive spider boss that you fight within Zetsubou No Shima. Even the cave system looks very, very similar, and if that isn't convincing enough, within Zetsubou No Shima, this is the first map where we saw the MX Garand introduced, and when you pack-a-punch the MX Garand, the pack-a-punch name for the gun is indeed Leng's Ping Beast. So that pretty much puts the nail in the coffin that the spiders in Zetsubou No Shima are indeed based off of the Leng spiders. Now, in terms of the Leng spiders storyline, it's very, very dark. They are obviously an arachne subspecies, and their primary habitat is secluded caves high in the mountains. Now, Zetsubou No Shima does have mountains on it, and obviously the massive mother spider that you fight is indeed within a secluded cave. These spiders are cunning, malicious, and lonely, and their diet is whatever prey that they can manage to catch, and they feed on spirit energy. They are a subspecies of arachne once feared more than the Yushi Oni of Zipangu. They are at the edge of extinction, having lost their homeland and most of their blood. Because of these circumstances, they choose to flee to the highest of peaks. They have spider-like lower halves with a strange purple colour that almost glows. Also, they master web weavers, who can hide their webs well enough so that when their prey realizes it, the Leng is already upon them. In the current age, they've also become Mamono. Now, what this means is that they are no longer able to mate with other Leng spiders, which spells the demise for their race. However, the spiders, in desperation, have a very, very dark feature. They are able to take up the habitat of capturing human men to mate with. This ensures the future of their species. They will lure men to their nest and ensnare them with their webs and frantically... Well, I don't even want to get into the next bit. All I can say is that H.P. Lovecraft, who is indeed the writer of the Cthulhu mythos, must have been high as fuck when he wrote this, because this is not even the weirdest thing in the Cthulhu mythos. There's a ton of even weirder stuff that I've come across, and honestly, it gets pretty weird. But anyways, should a Leng spider take a liking to a man they've captured, then she will become his wife, devoting herself to a man. The man may accept her love, giving himself to her, mind, body, and soul. Together, they will mate with each other constantly, producing many offspring. It should also be noted that Leng spiders have a strong fear and mistrust of beastmen Mamono. For in ages past, the beastmen destroyed their cities, which drove the Leng spiders to near extinction. Stories of that event are passed from mother to child. Whenever a Leng spider sees a boy she likes near any beast girls, she uses her webs to drag her darling away from the filthy beastmen. Now, I have some more specifics of the Leng spiders which I can go into. They are spiders that have a virulently poisonous bite. 3 times per day they can inject a poison with a successful bite. The spiders can also expel a blast of webbing to entangle foes 3 times per day. This ability functions as per the web spell. Now, spiders of Leng are huge arachnid monstrosities. Newborns are reported to be the size of ponies. Now, this can indeed be seen within Zetsubou No Shima. Obviously, we have the mother spider within the cave, and then we have the little spiders which aren't quite quite the size of ponies, but they're definitely very, very huge. Now the leng spiders are purplish and black in colour with bloated bodies and long bristly legs. They're intelligent, cunning and very dangerous. Whole valleys in the plateau of Leng are webbed over by these creatures with miles of tunnels running vertically and horizontally through the web. They are incredibly territorial, attacking all outsiders. They are also cannibalistic, turning on one another during times of famine. Now the leng spider's venom causes flesh to blister and rot away, and the mind to experience vivid and horrific hallucinations. These visions cause the poisoned creature to react in an unpredictable manner, as if confused. The hallucination element of this poison is mind affecting. The leng spider is talented at using its webs to construct masterwork weapons. This technique of weapon creation allows the spider to effectively create a flail or bolus by attaching a heavy object such as a rock or chunk of metal to a cord of webbing. The spider attaches one end of this webbing to a leg and can then wield a weighted cord as a masterwork flail or a masterwork bolus. It can only wield one such weapon at a time. It must use its other legs to walk. If a leng spider drops or loses a web weapon, it can create a new one as a full round action, provided it has access to heavyweight objects of the correct size such as loose rocks or skulls. Now in terms of the ecology of the leng spiders, they're able to pretty much live in any environment, and they organize in solitary. The spiders of Leng have long warred with that realm's more humanoid denizens, yet this does not make these spiders allies of sane life. These spiders see themselves as deserving of true positions of power, and the only creatures they suffer to live apart from their kin are their magically controlled slaves. Fortunately, the spiders have no intrinsic way to travel to the material plane, and must use portals or other methods to visit this world. Artistic trap builders, leng spiders construct lairs of dangerous and haunting beauty made of webs and other materials found nearby. So that is all of the backstory of the leng spiders seen within the Cthulhu mythos, but obviously Treyarch are not able to take direct inspiration of the leng spiders. They obviously have to adapt this story by H.P. Lovecraft to fit the narrative of Zetsubou No Shima, and I'm going to be trying to explain how the narrative and backstory of the leng spiders fits the story of Zetsubou No Shima, because as you can tell from that I've just described, there are tons of similarities between Zetsubou No Shima and the backstory of the leng spiders. Firstly, we do in fact learn that the leng spiders are near extinction, and due to them being near to extinct, they will often mate with humans in order to continue the future of their species. Now obviously I think Treyarch are going to take a different route in terms of the storyline, because I believe that Division 9 have indeed created the spiders seen within Zetsubou No Shima, and they're genetically modified spiders. That is why we obviously see on the walls of Zetsubou No Shima that Division 9 have definitely been experimenting with these spiders. Now in terms of the fact that these spiders do in fact mate with the humans in times of desperation, this is where things take a very dark turn in terms of the storyline within Zetsubou No Shima. So there was indeed a trailer released for Zetsubou No Shima once it was released on Xbox and PC. This trailer was a music trailer. It was essentially a storyline trailer. Now within this trailer we saw the guards of Division 9 who work for the Emperor taking Takeo 1.0 around different areas in Zetsubou No Shima. Now one of the places that they took Takeo 1.0 was down into the cave where the spider boss is. This is essentially the mother spider. This is the one that gives birth, in my own personal opinion, to all of the baby spiders that we get on Zetsubou No Shima. I think that Division 9 forced Takeo 1.0 to mate with the mother spider. Now the reason for me thinking this is that Takeo 1.0 obviously mutates into a thrasher, and Division 9 have been experimenting on Takeo 1.0 in this map to turn him into a thrasher. It's not just like a zombie. Now I will be making a future video about the storyline of the thrashers, so I'll be able to explain this a lot better, but the pause on Zetsubou No Shima which cause hallucinations, essentially they turn the zombies into thrashers because they're essentially loose souls. But since Takeo is still a human, he has to undergo a different process, and I believe that one of the stages in order to turn him into a thrasher was indeed to forcefully make him mate with the leng spider. Now obviously Division 9 have tortured him, they've experimented on him and done all of these crazy wild stuff to him, which led him to perform Kershakanu within the Easter egg ending cutscene. And this was probably definitely the pushing point in my own personal opinion. Now what is more, and this is only a theory, but could widow's wine be a sexual off-product of the mother spider? This would make sense if you honestly think about it, because what else would widow's wine be? I don't think it's its blood. It doesn't make sense to be its blood, because why is the spider bleeding? It's not made of webs either, although that is an effect of the widow's wine. It's not webs as it's a liquid. So could it possibly be a sexual off-product of the spider, of which Division 9 have then been harvesting for widow's wine? And that would again further back up the fact that Takeo 1.0 may have been forced to mate with the spider in order to turn him eventually into a spider. Again, Division 9 would have done multiple experiments on Takeo 1.0 to turn him into a thrasher. We see webs and stuff like that go around him, turning him into a thrasher, which we obviously see within the ending boss fight. And I think this is one of the processes that he had to go through in order to turn him into a thrasher. Now on Zetsubou No Shima, we also have the KT4 wonder weapon, which obviously upgraded is indeed the Masamune. Now this wonder weapon is made by Division 9 by 3 different aspects. One of those is indeed an underwater plant, another one is indeed a glowing yellow test tube, and the third part is indeed the venom of the spider. Obviously on Zetsubou No Shima you have to ensnare a spider in the trap, then lift up the cage in order to get the blood. And we learn that the leng spiders are actually able to create masterwork weapons. This is a unique technique of the leng spiders. So it would make sense that obviously Treyarch are not going to take direct inspiration, but they're going to alter it so that instead of them creating weapons, we Division 9 creates weapons from the spiders. Now we also learn that the leng spider's venom allows for hallucinations to occur and mind control to occur. And what's also on Zetsubou No Shima is that it's largely based off of hallucinations. We obviously have these spores around the map that create the thrashers, but when you go inside it you witness hallucinations. And within the trailer we saw that Takeo 2.0, aka the premise version, appeared to kill the other characters. Now some people were thinking that this could have been another universe or something like that, but it could have possibly been a result of these hallucinations. And maybe these spores are indeed present on Zetsubou No Shima as a result from the venom from the leng spiders. So in essence, the leng spiders may indeed be what creates the thrashers. This would make sense as within the storyline and backstory of the leng spiders, they were known to hypnotize and build up an army. The thrashers could be the spiders' army in terms of the storyline on Zetsubou No Shima. Now another thing to note is that we also have the spider bait weapon within Zetsubou No Shima, and the spider bait weapon allows the player to turn into a spider. So again, this could be related to the hallucination aspect. Obviously the player turns into a cocoon when they control a spider, and we know that from the storyline of the leng spiders, when a spider mates with a person, it causes the person to be able to actually communicate with the spiders, and they go into a cocoon when doing so. So I think this could possibly be the storyline of the spider bait. It may be related to the 2 aspects of hallucination, as well as the fact that the spiders were trying to build an army, as they can control people, and they do that through forcefully mating basically. Honestly, I have no idea what HP Lovecraft is on. He is on some mad drugs. Now something else that is also very interesting when it comes to the storyline of the leng spiders is it talks about the spiders warring with the denizens, which are more humanoid. Now this is interesting because obviously there's denizens on transit, but these are created by Broken Arrow, which we've learned from the comic books and the timelines and stuff like that. Now obviously these are not the same as the denizens within the Cthulhu mythos. They are completely different. I will put some images on screen of some denizens within the Cthulhu mythos, but regardless of this, the denizens within Treyarch zombies, they probably have taken some inspiration from this, which is completely insane. When I was reading this, I only just found this out. I didn't include it in my last video. I was like, wait, what? Literally everything ties together. It's absolutely insane how much research and stuff like that Treyarch put into the backstory of these maps. It's crazy, man. Now the storyline of the leng spiders also helps to explain how the spiders make their way to Revelations. Obviously within the apothecan's mouth, spiders do in fact spawn there. It says fortunately the spiders have no intrinsic way to travel to the material place and must use portals or other methods to visit this world, and this is exactly what we see within Revelations. We see the spiders come in through portals. This is how they get there. The material place is essentially Revelations, which is indeed Agartha. I mean, it's crazy how much Treyarch have explained this storyline and linked everything together. I mean, we've got the spiders making slaves and all of this stuff, which I believe is the spider bait, and it's just crazy, man. What's also interesting is that these spiders use in order to create weapons, rocks, and skulls. And what's also on Zetsubou No Shima is we have the skull of Nan Sapwa, which was a great keeper, which we actually see on Revelations. So as you can see, the storyline all ties together. Now, there were scenes of old wars wherein Leng's almost humans fought with the bloated purple spiders of neighboring valves. Of earthly minds, there were some from the winged, star-headed, half-vegetable race of Pelagian Antarctica, one from the reptile people of fabled Valusia, 3 from the fury pre-human Haborian worshippers. So yeah, that's been an overall view of the storyline, the dark storyline of the spiders within Zetsubou No Shima. Hopefully you have gone on to enjoy this video. It's been a very, very weird one, a very, very different one indeed. Hopefully everything's made sense to you, but I think a lot of the hallucinations, a lot of the dark stuff that's gone on Zetsubou No Shima is all to do with the spiders, really. But anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if not here for the latest and greatest Black Ops 3 Zombies information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.
Shut the wings off.